I showed it to an editor and she read it and said, this isn't good. And I was shocked. All of the advice that she gave me felt so overwhelming, but still felt like I can do hard things. And so I went and did all of these changes and it took like a year to do it. And her response was, it's okay. Oh. I was crushed. It was that time that I thought, I thought I was a writer and I'm not. And I thought that I could do this and I can't. And I thought that I had talent and I don't. Nobody's gonna read this. It's not good, but it's fun to write. Maybe I just need to get better. Maybe it's not that I'm not a writer. Maybe I just need to take more classes. And maybe I just need to hone my craft. And there was this moment when she was like, I can't wait for like other people to read this. That was the first time that I was like, what if I let someone else in and they tell me that I'm bad again? Okay, we're so close, but we need another round. And that was one more of those soul-sucking moments of crying in the shower and being like, I want to be done. I can't believe I was so stupid. Oh my gosh, I'm not at all who I thought that I was.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Stand Up Again with Sophie and Nick Ratto.
Our guest today is joining us all the way from America. She's joining us from her book tour for this incredible new book, Look How Thick It Is.
Yeah.
She's going to tell us all about what it took to put this project into motion and how to actually get it published.
Yeah.
13 years in the making. We can't wait for you to hear all about the resilience, the self-doubt and the struggles along the way, which will maybe just give you some inspiration at home.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best bits of advice that we've got for our own Stand Up Again book as well. Can't wait for you to watch and listen to this episode. Please welcome our next guest. It's Bonivon Dyer. First of all, can we just say congratulations?
Congratulations on this
Thank you.
hefty, big, chunky book here.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to read it. So thank you for bringing in a copy.
Yes.
It looks like filled with ideas and creativity.
There is a lot in there, yes.
Can I just say that I don't think I've ever done any amount of work this much.
No.
So this
That
is...
would have taken so long.
Yes.
Yes.
So can we talk to how this came about,
Yeah.
first
What was
of
the
all?
process? So the name of the book, The Blood Maker Fables.
Yes, that's the name of the series. And
That's
then
the
this,
name of the series.
Yeah, and then this book is called Lest They Have Eyes.
Okay, great.
They have
Yeah.
eyes.
So talk us through your starting out in your first novel and then how this came about and
Yeah, where did the idea come from?
I got married when I was 21 and I had just been married only for a couple months and I had this dream where in the dream everybody had a spouse. And like it was assigned a spouse and everybody had gotten married and then it was like my turn to get married and the man who was supposed to marry me refused to marry me.
Interesting.
And I was so embarrassed.
So you had that
And
just
so-
after you got married?
Right after I got married.
Which makes
Okay.
no sense because
No.
you've been accepted. You
Yes.
said I do,
Yes.
both of you.
And
then-
the shame of it when I woke up was so keen that I like walked through my day knowing that someone loved me and married me, but feeling like that was real and that rejection. And so it just wouldn't leave. And so I ended up just starting a story about a girl who lived in this society where she got rejected by her husband or by the guy who was supposed to be her husband.
Yes.
And then out of that teeny tiny idea came that.
Wow.
Wow. So can we talk to that dream
Yeah.
element
Yeah.
of it? Because
What was different about this dream that wasn't just your subconscious, like I've just got married and what if it didn't go so well, and made it different from just a dream to perhaps a little gift, a little, like what was the difference?
Well, interestingly, I've only ever had 3 dreams like it, and all 3 of them became books. So the first book that I told you, The Academy, was also seeded by a dream where I got kidnapped and taken to a school.
Yes.
And then that dream, and then I've only ever had one other dream, and one day I do want to write that book, but I'm busy right now.
Yeah, no spoiler alerts.
Yeah, and so I think for all 3 of them, they were different because they were very tactile. And so in the dream, I could I don't know. Normally when I'm dreaming, you see things, but in this dream, I could feel things. Yes. And also just that moment of not just waking up and thinking, oh, is that real or not? But going through my day and my body responding like it was real.
Right.
And so I think that is why I started the story was, again, my husband loved me, but just still that feeling of rejection had felt like such a reality to me, and I just couldn't shake it, and so I just started telling her story. But to answer your question though of how it all started, I think because I had done so much writing, and to a certain degree, I think because I was young, people could read my stuff and say oh, that's really good, and so there was this idea of well, what I write is good, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I wrote it and I finished as a 23-year-old, and I showed it or presented it to an editor, and she read it and said, "This isn't good."
Really?
And I was shocked because I write good things and I know how to write. So what do you mean that it's not good? And she really just tore it apart.
Wow.
But I think at the time I also was like, okay, I can totally receive that. So I'm going to take everything that you just said and I'm going to go action it. And so very passionately, excitedly took all of her edits, and really her biggest problem with it was the world is very interconnected. And so I just kind of had seen it all having one world culture because there was world peace and it's really easy to travel between territories. And so I had just kind of had like a very simplistic view of it. And her biggest criticism was, this is not real life. I mean, even visiting New Zealand, the different areas are also different. And like,
Sure.
I can't tell the difference, but I know that I've been told that the accent is different, like where you go, and what is valued is different. And so she was like, to have a whole world where everyone thinks the same is the most unrealistic thing I've ever read. And so it was that thing where I thought, cool, I like what you're saying, so I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go change it. And so then when I hired a second editor, you know, maybe a year and a half later, whatever, I was like, okay, so now it's really good. Like, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
And she read it and she was like, this is really bad.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
Yeah.
wait, no, it was bad. And then I
Yeah.
did
Made
the
the
strong girl
changes.
thing and I went and fixed it. And so now it's not bad anymore. And all of the advice that she gave me felt so overwhelming, but still felt like, okay, fine. I can do hard things.
Right.
Like, and at the time I had a baby and was pregnant with a second one. And I was like, I'm not doing anything else, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I'm going to go do it. And so I went and did all of these changes and it took like a year to do it and was just determined that it was going to be good this time. And so when I hired another editor and her response was, I mean, it's okay. I was crushed.
Yeah, I was hoping for a third time's the charm. There
Yes,
for you.
and that was not at all
Okay.
the case. And
Yeah.
so it was that time that I thought, oh, I I thought I was a writer,
Right.
and I'm not. And I thought that I could do this, and I can't. And I thought that I had talent, and I don't. And so at that time, I was like, okay, I think I'm done now. And so I closed my document. I closed the chick
Really?
document,
Really?
and I didn't write for 6 months.
Ooh.
Because I just was so crushed by by nobody believing in me and in this story. And so then after like 6 months or so, and at that time, you know, I wasn't really sharing with people that I was writing.
Yeah.
And it was very much my own thing. And so it's also not like people were checking in and like I could never write again and nobody would have ever known. Because nobody knew, feeling very alone because nobody knew how hard it was to not walk in something that I had thought I was going to be walking in for the rest of my life. And like I said, I had young kids. And so there are people invested in my life. My family and I are very close. But I would say that part had been like, you know, kept hidden. And so then just shutting it off felt like, well, nobody was there when it was happening. So nobody needs to be here when it's not happening. And so I think that it was more like a mourning because I really thought I was never going to write again.
Wow.
And so,
It was that serious.
Yeah.
I was just reflecting on some of your notes when you were saying throughout this journey, soul sucking. Would that have been the soul sucking moment?
Yes,
that moment.
That's those are the
tough.
moments that I'm thinking of. Yeah.
that would be hard.
And then being like, well, then who am I? I mean, I am a creative person. I have enjoyed other creative pursuits with music and like other things. And so just being like, okay, maybe I'll pursue those things and just never finding I don't know when you're walking in what you're supposed to walk in.
Yeah.
There's like a confidence. And so, and I think that's what had been so like, that's where the mourning came from, was also just being like, I can't believe I was so stupid. Like, I can't believe that for so long I like thought something was true of me and it was false. And so it was definitely an identity crisis moment of, oh my gosh, I'm not at all who I thought that I was. And so then when, I don't know, 6 months had gone by, I started thinking up more plot lines and being like, absolutely not. Like, we already know that it's bad. Like, we've been
Right.
told, so we don't need to go there anymore.
Right.
And then I would say, I don't know, maybe for like 6 more months just relentlessly coming up with really fun, tantalizing ideas.
Yeah.
And then it was about a year after I had received the editor's notes that I was like, you know what? Nobody's going to read this. It's not good, but it's fun to write.
Right.
Like it is really, really fun to write. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do all of these really fun things that I want to do in it. And nobody's going to read it, but I'm going to love it. And so I went back in and just getting back into the document and getting back to the characters was so exciting. And again, I wasn't really sharing it with anybody. So it's just me, myself, and I. But it was like, no, I am a writer. I know it. I know that I'm a writer. And so that was really a moment where I was like, maybe I just need to get better. Maybe it's not that I'm not a writer. Maybe I just need to take more classes. And maybe I just need to hone my craft. And maybe I just need to make this story the best that it can be instead of feeling like I'm not like who I am as a person is not a writer as much as I just need to get better. And so I started taking classes, started reading a ton of books on writing and allowing that to shape how I did that next draft. And it was quickly after that COVID hit.
Yes.
And so everyone was looking for side projects. And so I found randomly on Instagram another girl who was writing, and we decided to become writing partners. And so she and I read each other's books. As we were doing edits, we'd send each other chapters. And it was, she was coming from it as a writer, but also as a reader, and she just enjoyed the story.
Right.
And there was a ton that she gave me feedback on.
Yeah.
But I would say that in general, she enjoyed it.
Yes.
And there was this moment when she was like, I can't wait for other people to read this. That was the first time that I was like, oh, do I want that again? Is that something that I am willing to open up myself up to? Because what if I let someone else in and they tell me that I'm bad again? And so it was around that time that I was, again, randomly on Instagram. I had a business at the time where I was helping other fiction writers with their stories because I was like, well, if I can't do my own, I do love stories. So what if I helped other people?
Yeah.
And so I was randomly looking for clients, and I happened upon a publisher here in New Zealand. And the head editor, she was just doing a post talking about her writers. And she just had so much love and kindness in the way that she talked about them. And the way that she was speaking of her team's support behind them. I literally started crying as I was watching it. I was like, I can't even imagine what it would be like to have support like that.
Right.
To have someone who's behind you and supporting you, and then your story second, because all I had been told is story bad, you're bad.
Sure.
And so I just out of the blue reached out. At the time, they were only doing nonfiction works. And so I was like, if you guys ever do fiction, would you please let me know? And she was like, we actually just hired a fiction editing team. We would love to take on your project. And so their name is Torn Curtain, and they are who I did get published through.
Yeah.
They were the first time ever where, first of all, they heard the word count and said yes. Because that was another thing all the editors had told me. Okay, no matter what, half it. No matter what, you have to cut this story in half. It's way too long.
Right.
And so first of all, that they didn't even bat their eyes at the page count number.
Yeah.
But then also when they read it, their first response was we are behind this story. There is something here and we want to be a part of it. Also, we have a lot of work to do.
Okay.
Right.
And so that time when the workload came through and it was quite hefty, but there was this support element and this belief element that made it all palpable. All of it was I can do this.
Yeah.
But I say that saying that was 4 years ago.
Wow.
And so it took us 4 years to get it where it is now. And again, I'll be honest, that was really hard.
Yeah.
I remember the third time that Anya, my editor, was like, okay, we're so close,
Right.
but we need another round. And that was one more of those soul-sucking moments of crying in the shower and being like, I want to be done. I can't believe that it needs another round. I don't have what's in me to do another round. This is the best that I have. And if you're saying no, then that's it. And I probably spent a week being like, I think I want to be done. I think I want to just move on to new projects and start something fresh. And but then having a moment with myself and be like, no, I I really love them. I love the characters. I love this story. And I really want it to be told if it could be. And if it's going to be the best that it possibly can, like, why wouldn't I want that to be the version that goes out?
Yeah.
And so I
Took a
deep breath. And we did another full round of editing.
So when you say another full round of editing, how long is that for those that don't know the process?
Is it the whole book or do they just pick
It's the whole book.
The whole book.
Yeah.
They want you to rewrite or go over
that-
or look at plot
That's
holes.
a
that
big
kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
so it depends on what kind of editing you're doing. I would say in the beginning we were doing more just plot editing, so kind of looking at the book as a whole and then seeing what was and was not working on a big scale. So edits feel so big because they're also a little bit nebulous of like, go fix the tone or like,
Sure.
go fix, this character arc needs to be different. So there's just so much like unbearing.
Can I also say, with your world, it's horrendous because if you change one thing,
Yeah.
that
Yes.
changes the whole landscape
has a
of another thing,
knock-on.
right? It's like the butterfly effect, but in your own in
Yes.
your own world.
Yes.
Yeah.
A cool part though is that for it being a sci-fi book, I actually am not very knowledgeable in science at all. And so that was a really fun part is one of my editors is a scientist. And so he was able to take all my elementary kindergarten
Yeah.
science that was in there and
Yeah.
he was able to like take it and really root it in reality.
wow.
I mean, fake reality,
Yes,
but like
yes.
where
Yeah, fact check
where
it.
as a scientist, the idea would be that no matter who you are, like even the smartest person can pick up the book and be like, I'm impressed with the science of it.
Wow.
And so like those kinds of changes were really fun. And then as
Yeah.
I like weaved it through the story, it was very exciting because it was like, ooh, this is all real now. And it's not just like, me making something up.
How hard is it because you put your heart and soul into
Yeah.
it, how hard is it to separate yourself from the project?
Yeah, do you identify as this book now?
Well, I think that as I'm getting older, it's easier to have that separation. I think again, as much as everything I just said is true about my journey, I also can look back and be like, well, I was in my early 20s.
Right.
And everything that I did in my mind was a reflection of who I am. And so if you reject what I do, you reject who I am. And so I think a lot of my relationships as a young person, I just walked around ready to be, no, maybe not even ready to be, but just so rejectable because I just felt like everything was so performance based. My husband, he is the most confident person I've ever met in my entire life. Like he started out a business literally just by walking up and being like, you need my service. And they're like, no, we don't. And he's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Like next day, hey, you need my service. And they're like, no, we legitimately don't. And he's like,
Wow.
okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And like he just like rejection to him is just an opportunity,
Interesting.
And so I would listen to him talk about the way that he interacted with failure, in my opinion, and just keep trying. And I would listen to these stories of just his normal Monday experiences and be horrified
Yeah.
because I could not have handled that type of
Interesting.
closed door in my face. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, but it's not locked. They just shut it. Like that's just a
Wow.
shut door. That's so
Gosh,
silly.
That is a skill.
And so, yes. And so I think also to answer your question, being married to him and watching him interact in such a friendly way with failure
Yeah.
has been such an encouragement to me of that not one person was saying, my husband's name is Russ, like not one person was saying, no, Russ, you have a bad idea. And so for him, he's like, it's not on me. They just don't know about how great my idea is yet. And I'm going to show them how great my idea is. And then they'll love me and the
I
idea.
love that positivity.
I know,
Can
he's
I
so
bottle that?
positive. Yes.
Yeah.
And
I
so
find that with you as well, Nick, because what you do, you go out on stage with a microphone and you have this expectation from people. You got to make them laugh, and if it's a bad gig, it's just a bad gig. You don't tend to hold that as in maybe I should quit forever. No, but
I had one last night and it was a shocker, but it was a
no.
corporate show that was just not great. But
because I always draw my strength and courage from your ability to get back up again because
Yeah.
I would easily give up way sooner, but you're always like, come on, you can do it. Keep going. And just sometimes you need that support. Hey,
Yes.
that cheerleader.
I think that's so important, and I think you having that in Russ is amazing. It's great, and it kind of probably helped you through those moments. I want to sort of go back to some of those different moments as well, because we're trying to figure out like little things like that. Obviously, just marry someone who's uber positive.
That's all you have to do.
That's all you got to do.
Publisher.
Super easy. So case closed. You were talking about the time before where it was like 6 months and then you were coming up with the plot lines? Because I'm really interested in that when you finally did it for yourself, can you remember what it was that made you get back? The thing that you did, were you walking on a long walk? Was it a fitness thing? Were you eating something? What was can you remember the moment where you're just like, I'm going to stuff it. I'm going to do it for myself.
Because did you say it was about a year later? Yeah, it took about a year.
I can't say that I remember the exact day, but at the time I had a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and I was pregnant.
Wow.
And so I used to, before that, write while my kids were taking their naps. Like that had been like my writing time. And then my husband worked out of town a lot at that time. So then it was at night. And so those were my times that I would write I had like a 2 to 3 hour chunk in the afternoon and then like a 2-hour chunk at night. And then that time really just got filled with TV because there was like nothing, I was so bored and there was nothing else to do. And there really is no, I didn't want to be creatively outletting in any other way. And so honestly, I think I just got bored with TV.
Yeah.
And so I think that during that time, like I can look back at that year and just feel like it almost was like a blah year because I was just consuming, worthless content. And not that, not that I hate on TV or anything. And I think that that's another wonderful way to express art, but not for me. And so the only thing I would say I do remember is just being like, I don't want to watch TV, but my mind keeps being drawn to these ideas. And so I think that that's really what it was, is the one day being like, ugh, okay, I just can't even do it anymore. I can't watch another episode. Like I want to do my own storytelling.
Right.
And so that really got me back into it.
Sometimes I think you're right. Sometimes when you see something, so there's people who want to do stand-up comedy and they go to a comedy club and you'll see, it's really important to see someone that you're inspired by and go, oh my gosh, if I could get to that level, that would be amazing. But it's also really good to see sometimes someone go at a level where you go, well, I can be better than that.
Yeah.
If you can do that, I'm sure my back will be
You're
better.
making a living out of this? I could make a living out of that, Is that important? Was that a thing that you were kind of alluding to potentially?
Yeah. I mean, at the time, I think, I don't know why, and I don't even want to hate on the show, but have you guys watched Once Upon a Time, that series?
Oh, I feel like I've maybe skimmed in and out.
Okay, I mean, I wouldn't not recommend it, but I also wouldn't like super recommend it. And so I know that was the show that I was watching when I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't with another episode here. Yeah.
Sure.
And so, I don't know that I was thinking I can do better than the show, but definitely feeling like I can tell a better story.
Sure. Or I have different ideas, or I could take this, or if they had taken this another way. Sometimes it's good to just take a break from the project. Yeah. Just to kind of go, okay, do I really want it? And if it keeps calling back, and it's okay to sort of take time out. We talked about this with another episode with Jess Stewart, to take the half hour, to take the weekend away and to from the thing, to then go, okay, now I'm refreshed. Now I've had a break. I'm not just inundated with it. That's super interesting to me. Yeah. So we talked about the moments in the shower. Sorry to go back again for that. What was the moments? Obviously, there was the editor side of things.
Rejection. I was looking at I was thinking about all the emotions you would have been going through. The rejection, first of all, the disbelief. Like, what do you mean? I'm a great writer. Yeah. And then there's also that, self-doubt. And I was thinking, if there was sort of one big emotion or a feeling you had, what would that be? To sort of, summarize the whole experience of that few years before it got to where it is now.
Yeah, and also if it was like a character in a book or something like that, maybe
the villain.
Yeah, the villain of the story of this whole process. What do you think that would be, and can you talk to that?
I would say when it comes to the writing aspect of it, I think that I really was my own worst bully.
Wow, really?
Because I think about those editors and I think, you know what, they were doing their job and they really were not rejecting me as a human being and not trying to take away my love for writing or anything like that. But I allowed myself to go there. And I didn't at that time seek out encouragement or even talk to my husband about it, who would have pumped me up.
Right.
And so I think that I allowed my own labels to then become my own reality. And then I just sat in that for a really long time. And I think that also we all have these dreams. Like, okay, I could say like, oh, I dreamed that one day I'd be a successful author talking on a podcast with really cool people.
Yeah.
But I also think that there was a very real part of me that was like, but that's not really going to happen. That you're going to write a story and maybe your family will read it and like, that's it. And so I think that was even though I could tell people and would present as like, oh yeah, one day I want to be a successful author. My story that I was telling myself was, but that's not true. And that won't happen. So I think that having my editors be the ones who were like, oh, this is going to be big, being like, it is? Really? Like, I didn't know. And so I think for my own self, I have often found that I am my own villain. And so trying to change the way that I let myself dream and not dream at night, but like dream during the day, and the way I let myself be excited for the future is very different now. I mean, maybe now that it has been published, but also just having people behind me believing in me also like gave me the ability to start believing in myself. But I would say one thing that's very interesting is actually pushing past publishing. I have had the craziest ups and downs since then.
Really?
So in my mind, I was like, okay, once I publish, cross the finish line.
Yeah.
Like I will be on cloud 9 indefinitely because I published a book. And isn't that all that we're going for? Yeah, that we're going for. And so I had, and all of these years, so it was 13 years before it got published, almost to the day. And so I had for years dreamt like, what would it be like to have my publishing day? What will it be like to have ARC readers, which are people that you send your book out to like a month or so before a publishing day so they can get excited about the book, get all hyped up. And then on your publishing day, you already have reviews on Amazon is the idea. And so like I had all these ideas of how all of those things were going to go because I was published. So it's just so exciting. And the day that I was supposed to publish was the exact, because I remember that I had started writing my story on April 12th, 2012. And so we were going to publish on April 12th, 2025. So it was going to be exactly 13 years. Yeah. And Amazon had she started her period that day or something because like it was so glitchy and my book ended up accidentally being published on the 3rd. Oh. And it was like, that's exactly how I felt like, that was really disappointing. And I didn't realize how much I wanted that until now. That's not a reality, but like, whatever, that's fine. And we're just going to move on to the ARC readers. And you don't have to do this, but I had constantly seen on TikTok that people would make boxes for their ARC readers and they'd put like fun merch in it and then send out their boxes. And so I was like, that's okay. Like I'll focus on that. Yeah. And so I went and I got these shirts and I ordered stickers and pins and I just got all of the boxes together and I had them all set up in my living room and I had put my kids to bed and my husband had gone to bed and I was like, this is the moment. Like I'm packing my ARC readers and like I got my phone out to like start recording and all of a sudden I'm like sitting at my table and like this huge weight of like embarrassment came over my whole body. And I like burst into tears and I was like, I think that this is so exciting. And it's not. Like this thing that, I'm excited about all of these little pieces that I'm putting into it. And this is all like bits of my soul. But like, what if they don't like it? What if I'm making it this big thing because I tricked my publishers into thinking that it was a big thing and it's going to go out there and I'm going to realize that just like 10 years ago, it was bad. And I was so embarrassed that I just like wept there at my kitchen table. And it was such a weird feeling when for so many years I thought I knew how I was going to feel the moment that I got to this victory point. And so my husband ended up like coming out for a different reason and he finds me just like in a puddle. We're excited. I know. Yeah, exactly. I left and you were so excited and I come back and you're like a hot mess. And I just remember him like grabbing my hand and just saying like, but you are excited about this and people are going to be excited about what you're excited about. And just being, I don't know, like, that's cute that you think that. But also, if it's not a good book, then there's nothing, at this point that I can do about that. And so it was just such a disappointing moment that I really thought I was going to feel so much victory and like pride in. And it was really funny because, well, now it's funny. It wasn't funny at the time. I had gotten shirts, these black shirts, and they had this cover on the back and the printers had messed up and made it all pink. It was this bright fuchsia pink instead of red for blood.
red.
And I had like primarily male ARC readers. And so I was like, I'm going to send out these like fuchsia pink shirts. And I was like devastated.
Yeah.
And so when I ended up giving them out, I just had so many texts of people being like, this is so cool. Like, I love everything. And then come to find out, like, the thing that people loved the most was the pink shirts, especially the guys. Like, so many of the guys were like, the pink was my favorite part about it. Yeah. And so I think that was so strange because I really thought that was going to be a moment where I was going to be really proud of myself. And like the amount of self-doubt that I felt in that moment was so unexpected. And then same thing, I had my first book signing, which who as an author do you not dream of your first book signing? And I did it at my local Barnes & Noble. I live in like a city, so it's like it felt like a really big deal. And same thing the night before, I was just like, why would anyone come? Like, who's gonna want my signature on like, some weapon that I've like created here? And so my husband was like, okay, if nobody shows up, I'll come in, pretend I have a crush on you, I'll buy your book, come over, have you sign it. And I was like, okay, I know my mom will be there and my husband will be there and he'll buy a book. And then at the end of it, one of the employees came up and told me that it was the best showing that he'd seen in years. That he like couldn't even remember a time that he had seen a better show. And so I feel like that's been very strange for me, going through what I thought was going to be all of these really high points and finding such low points and being like, there's still so much of that young, 23-year-old me that still is really afraid and really uncertain. And I don't want to be, purely reliant on the opinions of others. But it's been so strange to be like, oh my gosh, I guess I still don't even believe in my own self fully as much as I thought I had and like have been healed from that. So yeah, I feel like that's been interesting. Even on this tour, still being like,
for sure.
I'm just faking it and nobody knows that like I'm not anybody.
Yeah. And you think it would, as you say, you'd think it'd be done by now and you'd be at the point of just celebration.
Yes.
It's sometimes hard to let that go when we're so like, it's just been consumed by what others think, but that's so challenging to just let it go even still. But well done, I think, to say that you've done so amazing.
Yeah, but 100% I agree with that. I'm recently going through something similar where it's I just finished my third comedy album and people are saying nice things and I'd worked so hard for the last year and a half. 5 years, 5 years because it was my third one in 5 years.
Wow.
And it was to this point where it was like, once I get through that finish line, and I finished it 2 weekends ago, and it's just in the last couple of days almost that I've just been going, I don't know if I want to do comedy anymore.
Yes, isn't that so strange?
It's so
I was
weird.
not expecting that. I feel like you often hear stories of like push through and like make your dreams come true.
Yeah.
But then I feel like less of a conversation of like, okay, what happens when your dream does come true and you still feel like the same person?
Yeah, you've not leveled up in a sense you thought you would. Yeah. I think it's just maybe a sign we need a holiday or a break. I think I'm just like, don't give up.
We need to go and sit and watch Once Upon a Time. And that's our
Netflix
little...
and chill and just recover and then we'll come back into the world.
Back into it.
I think it is creativity. We can't just sit and expect amazing things to suddenly appear. Sometimes it comes really effortlessly and then other times it can be challenging.
Yes.
Do you find that some days we'd be able to write heaps and other days nothing?
Yes. Yeah. No, I do. And I think that was on a more technical like discipline level. I think that is what's hard for creatives sometimes is, well, today I don't feel like it. And today the muse is not flirting with me. And, and so I feel like that is one thing that I've had to learn is that even though creativity is so fun and it's so life-giving and it can flow, that sometimes creativity is determination. Creativity is like showing up every day and saying, well, for me personally, even if what I write isn't good today, I can get words on the paper that I can fix later. And so I think that when you take something, when you level up in I want this to be a profession kind of way, you can't just, at least for me personally, I have found that I can't just wait around for creativity to show up and be my buddy that day. 100%. I have to show up, and if creativity, comes, then what a better day it was.
Sure.
Good point. Yeah. Good discipline.
Sometimes, when especially when I write in things, it's not until the 6th, 7th layer where you're like, oh, this like John Cleese has a thing where he says you should, when you write for like an hour and a half, it's like half an hour for you just to sort of stop thinking about the shopping list that you've got, half an hour to go, I'm the worst writer in the world, and then the last half an hour to go, oh, there's something here, and then you kind of almost have to have a break because you're tired.
Thirsty, need the toilet.
But that kind of thing of like that compounding interest of like going and turning up and day to day. One thing I really want to get from you, so at the end of this, we're trying to, obviously the podcast is one thing, but we're actually going to put like a little handbook together, like a little
awesome.
like a stand up again handbook of loads of people with their lived and learned experiences, trying to put something into the book where people, creatives, whoever, whatever stage of life or creativity or wherever, they can just pick it up and go, oh, Bonivon, she speaks to me there with what she's seen there. Is there one bit that you would put into that book, or like a bit of advice to help people stand up again or go again, as we would say? It's a hard one.
One thing that my husband says all the time is figure out what the hardest thing that you could do right now is and do that. And I feel like that has been often my mantra with writing is what would be the easy thing? Well, giving up. What would be the easy thing? Walking away today because I'm not being creative. What would be the easy thing? Getting distracted by another project because, ooh, that one is easy, right? And so often the hard thing is just to continue on in what you're doing. No matter what you're believing about yourself that day, what you're believing about your project that day, to not allow yourself to be distracted, to purposely put your phone in the other room, to purposely have disciplines in your day. And when I approach my craft as what's the hardest thing I could do today, those days, even if there's a really cool book called Bird by Anne Lamott, and she's a writer, and what she says is some days your workday is just staring at the screen thinking. And so for me, even if my workday looked like plotting in my head and thinking, that was still a choice to do the hard thing, because instead I could have just gone and done something else. I could have gone and gotten groceries, or I could have gone and, did laundry, or, I mean, those things are very important and I should do them. But I think choosing in the moment to say, no, I'm just going to sit here and stay, even though it's hard and I don't want to. I have found that I have really matured, but also gotten more productive in my day-to-day work life.
Awesome.
Do the hard thing first is such a great thing. That's going to help so many people, I think. Bonivon, what's next for you? Where can people find your books? I know you're on a tour at the moment.
Yes.
But then when this goes out, you might have been back to the States. Where can people find you and talk us through? And I know it's hard to say what's next, whatever.
Yeah,
but,
no, that's okay.
But can you talk us to all those things?
Yeah. So if you are in New Zealand, my book is in all of your major bookstores, which is so cool.
So good.
Yeah. And then my publishers, their name is Torn Curtain. And so you can also get it on their website. So if you're in New Zealand specifically, it's very accessible to you.
Yes.
And then for in America, just on Amazon. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like for the rest of the world, probably Amazon, I would assume.
Yeah.
And then in my own little town, I have 2 bookstores that it's available in. But so if you're in Reno, you can head to Grassroots or Barnes & Noble. But everyone else, probably Amazon for now.
Yeah.
And then actually in the States, also my website, which is just my name, bonivondyer.com.
Right.
And if you get it from my website, I do like special packaging and send out a little bit of merch.
Oh.
So so that's where you can find it. And then next, I actually just finished book 2. And so and by that, I mean, I have like little bits to still do, but the big chunk is done. And so I'm going to be giving it to my editors at the end of the month. And then we go into editing book 2.
Wow.
And so, next step, because it's a 6-book series.
Okay.
So
you're book 2 of 6.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for me, it's learning how to market in my own country. And
13 years to get to this book. How many years to do the second book?
2.
2, yeah, right. Interesting.
And then for my goal, which if it's unrealistic, I'll find out. But my goal kind of indefinitely is I'd like to write 1 book a year. And then because after this series is done, I do have other nonfiction interests and other things. So I just think, is 1 book a year reasonable, or maybe 1 book every 18 months? But
great goal.
Yeah.
It's great. I can totally relate to that. It took me like 15, 16 15 years to do my first special, and
Yep.
then I've done 2. And it's crazy, right?
Well, getting over that first hump of like, can I even do it? I feel like is so big that then the next one automatically is easier because you're like, but I did it. So yeah.
100%. And can we just literally say and like sit in this moment here where you've just listed all these amazing things. Your book's in the New Zealand, you're in New Zealand doing this book tour. You're saying things like for the rest of the world, and even in my 2 book stores in your hometown across America. You're finishing your second book of 6. We've got other projects on the go. To speak to that 21-year-old writer and just say to that person, hey, listen, you're going to get these little knockbacks, but all is meant to be.
Yeah.
And as long as you do the hard thing first, look how many good things are coming out. So
look how far you've come.
Just don't feel like you're on this tour thinking that you're making up the numbers, because we're clearly not. We're happy to have you, and it's all happening. So well done. Congratulations.
Well done.
Thank you. Going to make me cry.
You can go and get some tissues.
Yeah. So we've just spoken to Bonivon Dyer. Fascinating.
I loved her. She was so great to talk to.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed her perspective on the process. 13 years in the making. But I was particularly interested in the receiving criticism, the feedback.
Yes.
And 3 times rejection, really, of this is bad, this is not good. And then a year after that, to then have that different approach. And I was thinking about feedback and how much I hate it. Like I hate receiving feedback. You know, when you get an email, hey, just give me some feedback. And you're like, oh, do I really want to enter the content of this email after the subject line?
Yeah.
But feedback is obviously so helpful.
Yeah, same. I had like a phone call today. I had like an email saying, "Can I call you at 10 o'clock today?"
Gosh. Instantly go, oh,
and instantly
what have I done wrong?
Like, I was going through, and I was listing all the different things, and my breathing was more shallow.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I knew that I was going to be critiqued, and that's hard. And it kind of almost it does go away. It does get better. I think it's kind of like meditation. I try to keep it like meditation, where it's like, I'm not going to stop it from happening. I'm not going to stop it from coming up, but I have to then just notice it and then separate myself.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to sort of say to her about her book. It's like, you've put your heart and soul into this book, and it's everything, and it's your baby, but at the same time, doesn't define you. You are a mother, you are a wife, you are other things as well.
That's right.
And it's important that you are this author, but not to tie yourself too much up into that.
Yeah, when we get entangled with identifying as our project, it's hard then to receive the feedback, because it's just like it's a personal attack.
I know.
And it is a vulnerable thing to ask for feedback, but it is helpful. But I thought what may have been the difference in the nurturing approach is, I'll talk about the timing of it too, but when the publisher here in New Zealand was like, we want to back this.
Yeah.
But it does need some work. But the actual thing is, we've talked about it before. How do you give feedback as well? Like, with our kids, and we're trying to, raise good humans, and we say, well, it's like a compliment sandwich. You pad it because you want them to know you loved.
Yes.
We love you.
Yes.
Or we love the idea or the project or whatever it is, if it's not your family. And then the feedback, here's how we could improve this.
Yeah.
And then another compliment because you love it.
But also it's kind of hard because you have to sort of do one. You can't just keep giving them compliment sandwiches, because
it's that moment that the publisher reached out, I think that definitely was the turning point, because if it was a 4th time, this is no good, or this needs lots of work, she would have probably just put the phone down and gone, okay, well, it's a definite sign.
Yeah.
But I think the approach shifted, but it obviously was meant, like the timing of it, because what are the chances you would see someone on Instagram, which is such a scrolly, flicky thing, and then to actually have that person say
in New
yes.
Zealand, because you remember she's in Truckee,
California, originally.
Kind of. It's kind of almost near north of Vegas, and it's all these different places. I don't know specifically, but it's not.
Well, it's nowhere near New Zealand.
It's nowhere near New Zealand. It's
so
America.
Very specific that they would be a New Zealand company, and then it was also we're just going to do fiction. We're just going to start doing fiction now. So brilliant timing.
And they didn't freak out about the word count, and there was things like that. But it was we think that this is good, we're going to back you, but it does need work. But equally, that feeling of, desperation, sobbing in the shower, it doesn't go away, because even those people who believe in her were still going, like, let's just do one more round. And then you're like, to do one more edit of this, like, more,
Well,
this
the effort and the energy involved.
600 odd pages or whatever it is.
628, did she say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's So to have that, to go through that there's lots. One thing I found really inspiring, or fairly really good to chat to, was when you've completed your goal and you've worked towards something, and then I've had this a couple of times.
I was thinking, actually, when we bought our first house. Are you thinking that?
I was thinking that,
Yeah.
we bought our first house. We worked so hard to get it, or as an apartment.
Crazy house prices, and we were a young, creative couple trying
Banks
to get...
hated us.
Banks hated us. They still hate us, because we're like, how do you do this again?
Talk us through how you make money.
So you're a comedian,
Yeah.
and you teach yoga.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when we actually finally got that momentous moment where we bought our first house, and then you kind of went in that celebration moment. You were like, now I've got to pay the bill. I've got to pay the mortgage.
Yeah. And then this realization kicks in. And then I always, every single, big investment like that, I've always had the same recurring dream that for about 2 or 3 months after we purchase it, I wake up in the middle of the night and I go, I forgot to sign the thing, and it's all going to be taken away. And so there's this reoccurring moment, which we'll probably have to
I'm just thinking, if you are a psychologist right now, please write in and let us know, what is that about? But probably deep fear of not being able to
support or to supply or thinking the banks are
but
right.
Even still, like, you finally get the book published, and then this is exciting. You're about to go to your first book signing or send out the things to promote it. Then you suddenly go, but what will people say?
Yeah,
I've got the love of the publisher, and now I've got to get it out there in the world, and that's scary too.
And she's telling all of her friends and family and everyone else and all the doubters, I've got this New Zealand book tour and I'm in it. And she's in the tour and she's still having those doubts of like, I don't think I belong here.
It doesn't go away, does it? Even if you do slay the dragon and you get the thing done, it's still there. It's always a work. But I think that's really important to know, that your celebration moment might not actually look like how you pictured it or expected it to, because that is really, really valid.
Yeah. So there was a guy called Stephen Pressfield who does the book called The War of Art, which is a really great
I've seen that on your bookstand,
book. War of Art is amazing. If you ever, and he calls about things about the resistance, and he talks about it in that book where he finished the book and he finished it. And then a fellow author was like, okay, we will crack open the champagne. We will celebrate this. It's important to celebrate it. And then the next day you start your next project. And that is imperative for you to then go, well, I'm on to the next thing. So you almost don't have to give yourself time to give yourself those imposter syndrome. I'm done now, or what's the next thing?
Well, I was really fascinated with her discipline because, as you know, especially from writing yourself, it's not going to write itself. You have to get it actually out there and do it. And if you are more creatively minded, you're usually a little bit more looser with scheduling. Perhaps that's just me creating a bit of a generalized thing. But I think where you've had to do that too is create a schedule for yourself to actually go and do the work. And I loved...
And a deadline.
Yeah, we love a deadline.
Have to have a deadline.
She wrote in the book, and it was a beautiful reminder to her, most helpful advice she's been given along the way. Do the hard thing.
Do the hard thing first.
Do the hard thing first.
So whatever the hard thing is, do that first. And I quite often do on my... See, other people say, like, for procrastination, to avoid procrastination, to do the easy thing first, because
to get it done.
Well, no, because then you're ticking something off and you feel like you're achieving.
Okay.
And so there is merit to that. I think in terms of like a shopping list or getting the passport photo done or whatever the things you got to do for today. But in terms of a creative element, it's like, okay, what is the hardest thing for me to do right now? And for me, sometimes it's like write the opening joke or write the middle.
Closing. Sometimes you struggle with.
Yeah, it's really hard to write a closing joke, or even if it's like to write the blurb about whatever the hardest thing is first. it means that it takes time and it's slower.
Yeah.
And it is like, ugh.
And it's the thing you don't want to do. It's the sticky thing. I feel like as well for myself, it's the thing that I've been thinking about for a while that I know I need to do. And it's like ripping off like a Band-Aid. It's like that hard conversation I need to have. That's the thing that I put off and put off and put off until it has to happen. But it's like, do that first and then it's clear and the energy's lifted, it's lighter. It's a good approach. And it reminded me of your stoicism, interesting, where you've said the obstacle is the way.
Yes.
So you do the hard thing and you get it out the way and then your path is clearer in front.
Yeah. And
as hard as that is and messy as that is, the path is clearer.
The hard thing first. So great
Great
takeaways.
takeaways.
Really.
Now I need to read this book. I'm so excited to get into it because I was just saying it's been a really busy time and I feel like I just need to escape into another world. And that's really cool that you can actually create a world like that. So I'm so impressed.
So impressed. So thank you, Bonivon. And if you would love to know what you guys thought of that episode, what you got out of it, tips and tricks, and tell us also as well, like when you've achieved something and then you didn't think it was going to be the thing that it was or turned into, or that foreboding joy, or tell us how
or what you did was so well received and amazing, and then you have to try and repeat it and do just as good the second time.
Yeah, the difficult second album.
The difficult second album or the second series or the season or whatever.
Yeah.
That's also an interesting one because now she's working on a second book. But as she said, it took 13 years to create the first one and now more looking like 2 years-ish for the second. And I feel like, it'd be interesting to hear the process on the next one.
Yeah. So, we'll put up our socials and how to get in touch. But, I'd love to hear from you on all those aspects. But thanks again. This is Stand Up Again with Sophie and Nick Ratto, and we'll see you next week.